Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? Looking for the right question to ask to stabilize the definition. And so, continuing on, are memories necessary? Last episode we asked, what is this relationship between density and memory, straight up physically, but on a personal level, what do you remember? Right now, you remember the things that happened most close to the time that you're talking about. I remember what I had for dinner right now. I don't remember what I had for dinner 2 years ago and 37 days ago, right? But at the time, I did. And so we have some differentiations already in science that are reflective of, again, this difference. What is memory? We have memorality is remembering what is right, is our functional definition. And that has kind of taken the forefront. Not really, sensorality is over here, but we've derived this natural definition, and we're kind of assessing, what differentiations of memory already exist. And so, we have RAM versus solid state drives, this random access memory part of a computer or of yourself. Again, we've proven literally the language life is random access memory. It's efficient to remember things. You can map out, you can go to different places, you can learn stuff, so on and so forth. But I have reaction isn't memory, right? If you're walking in the woods and you hear a sound and you crouch down, you didn't remember to do that, you reacted. And so we have this intuition, we have reaction, which is kind of like, we don't really process as thinking. We use thinking, which is physical resistance, to form memories. We do have some memories, but the better you get at something, the less you're memorizing and the more you're just intuitively reacting. And so are memories necessary? Remember birthdays, they are. And when you physically try to recall a memory, you start thinking, right? Thinking is proportional to memory. The more you think about something, the more you remember it, or the more you memorize it. But again, we have this distinction between reaction and memory. But to some level, a reaction is still a memory, right? You know how to move your arm, you know how to move your body. And so that's remembered, or more generally, that information is stored somehow. And so also in kind of like psychology or biology, you'll get introduced to working memory, still kind of like we just said, but then crystalline knowledge, just like solidified facts. What happened, what year was George Washington president? When was the French Revolution? So on and so forth. And so, again, just bringing up those elicitations to talk about, here are differentiations already made about memory, what's really going on. Another thing I thought about was kind of in tune with the Olympics. On a personal level, once again, how many different types of motion can you do personally? Right? I can go forward or backwards, left or right, up or down. To me, that word I would say is translate. That's translational motion, consistent with what you see in physics class. I can rotate, right? I can spin. Spin is rotation. And then I can flip. Flipping is inverting. And so we have rotate, invert, and translate is what I've written down for our, personal movements. Again, just feels like a step we should point out. Because remember, the totality, what we're doing is putting all of these pieces of evidence or data points to analyze to have a definitive conclusion. And so all of these are just independent steps putting together to work towards our overall goal of stabilizing sensorality. So now I noticed something in the editing of the last video. How do we talk about division and its reciprocal, or multiplication and its reciprocal? Because again, we're well past structured mathematics. We're just into physical intuition effectively. But going from that intuition directly to linguistics. And so, we have density is mass per unit volume, is how I said it, how it's been taught to me, how it seems to make sense, right? But per, right? We have that word per, unit. Unit, a word for element. Elementality is unitality. But division is per. This, a mass per unit volume. I just want to point out that there's it's a direct association of division is to per. And then if you have a 2x4, like a piece of wood, or if you multiply this by that, 6 times 7, multiply 6 by 7, multiplication is to by, division is to per. Memorality is definitivitality, right? Remembering what is right is definitive. Morality is objective. Multiplicative, definitive. And so then I just simply have written the chronology of analysis, which to me is broader and more general than the scientific method. This encapsulates all information processing. You derive, that's what we're doing, effectively pulling in all of our data points. We analyze those data points. That's me sitting here and talking to you. And then we realize, and we're trying to realize the definition of sensorality by working through this analytical process. So I simply have that written as the chronology of analysis. Memorality, so now we can expand our definition logically and linguistically. Memorality is in the right direction, right? And that's a phrasing you've heard before. I can point you in the right direction. Back to our fundamental geometric objects, using a simple logical statement, but it's true. And again, it's expanding our definition from a natural phrasing, right? You're in the right direction. But memorality points in the right direction. What can be solved? Right? We have these questions in logic more generally. Is it provable? Is it decidable? It's kind of like I would say that decidability is the big, is this something you can assess? Is this definitively true, definitively false, or definitively we know, definitively we can't know? And so solvability to me is decidability. But again, you can't, you solve a problem, but problem in overall scientific diction is, again, contradiction. Just not having enough data or not having your conceptualizations in the right place. Because the physical world is not naturally contradictory, right? That's, overwhelmingly apparent. If you drop a ball, it doesn't forget to fall down. It doesn't randomly go up. It can't forget to go down. Right? Sensorality with a C has no memory. In the sense we've been talking about. But that is what we're trying to do, is again, ask the right question to get this definitive statement and show the iteration of the letters. What can be resolved, right? We have this expansion, you solve an equation, you resolve a conundrum, a paradox, an apparent contradiction of language. Solution is definite, resolution is consistent. If it's consistent and it's right, people say, that makes sense. Definite, definitive. Another felt like it was poignant to point out that I'm kind of like interchangeably, but like definitely thinking about, am I supposed to say definite here or definitive here? Logically, it's about the same, but it was something that I thought of to point out. So back to our clicking and snapping. All right, we talked about snap-back hats, but just in general, right? You snap something into place. But I was went on a little bike ride, was putting my GoPro on my handlebars, and I changed the little back of the GoPro case, and it snapped into place. So some things click and some things snap. But all of that, I don't say all of it, but discreteness snaps, right? The reason you have these different well-defined sounds is, again, because of the discrete nature of individual particles or individual atoms. How does movement store information, right? Everything is moving, and so nothing is really static, right? Last time we had filtering is dynamic, storage is static, but that's not really true. Like every physical thing is moving. So how do you physically preserve information while everything is moving? Staticality is vibration, sensorality is staticality. What is staticality to stability, right? Kind of getting close intuitively. If something's static, it's not really moving. If something is stable, it's not really moving. But does static imply or cause stability, or vice versa? Does stability cause staticness? Right? You can be stable and moving. Evidently, if you ride a bicycle, you're more stable moving. And so, again, staticality is this limit. You take something that's moving, you try to limit that movement, and you force vibration. Conversely, you turn on vibration on your phone, and you turn it up really fast, and it can move around. But staticality to stability, it was worth pointing out. And again, the structure of the words are very similar. Sensorality is senality. And that's all on your screen if you're just listening. Senality, C-E-N-A-L-I-T-Y. Sensorality is centennial. Decade is centennial. No, Brad, no, it's not. Centennial's 100. Again, it doesn't matter. We're just putting these logical, we're getting the letters in the right place, and I'm putting down any step that seems poignant enough to tell to you. Sentinel, or centennial, sentinel. Sensorality is tenniality. Sensorality is neality. So another thing to point out, neither nor. This fundamental stability of two forces this, right? It's neither this nor that. You can have the former or the latter respectively. Neither this nor that. Another one of these emergent, again, evidences, things, facets, representations, manifestations of this two is complete fundamental stability of two. In other languages, you get ni a lot, N-I, N-I. Tenniality, tensionality. Sensorality is testimonial, right? Diction is testimonial. What is a trial, right? Last time we said, what is a trial or triality? Three-ality, triality, that's just trial with an I-T-Y. Do you do testimony at trial? Yes, you do. And so, again, just working through the logic. Sensorality is moniality. So that is where I finished up today. Again, the big steps here, division per, multiplication by. And so, and then just a simple statement of the chronology of analysis, which is a huge, again, that would be effectively the logical generalization of the scientific method. And again, we're all facts, or we're all data, the process of all solidifying all facts. And so that is what I have for you tonight. My rights continue to be violated. I have no expectation. I sit under the stress all day because I cannot access social structures explicitly. I've been extorted by the Colorado Department of Revenue in the past, and I'm sitting here in taxis and not able to rightfully claim or describe my self-proprietorship. It is profound and extensive stress. I have no way to resolve it, and I live in an environment where it's going to keep causing me tension, and I am being tortured. That has never stopped, it has never gotten better, and it's not going to get better unless someone pays me. You have my bank accounts, you know where I live, you know everything about me. Whoever's watching this video, just put some money in my bank account. This power dynamic is going to change, and there's nothing I can do, there's nothing you can do to stop me absolutely fucking destroying you. And each day that you wait, there is nothing that is going to get better. I own education for this whole fucking planet, and all I want is a little bit of money so I can eat, and I can sleep, and I can work. And the fact that the answer to that is still no is to me, again, I will deal with it when I can, but fuck all of you people. Try to respect your own laws, and we'll deal with you when we can. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.